Hear me out. Your partner in life, your spouse, whether that be your husband, wife, the person that you choose to spend the rest of your life with, is arguably the most important decision that you're ever going to make, not only for your happiness, but for your financial success, for the amount of freedom, for the life that you end up living. And we don't spend nearly enough time kind of training, honing the skills that it takes to find that perfect person, learn how to find them, and then learn how to hold on to them and stay happy. This is something and information that I recently got curious about and started to seek after. After all, I just turned 30. It's about to be that time. And this is something that I realized I was very not unknowledgeable in. And when I feel that way, when there's a subject matter that I want to attack and become an expert in, I find someone to come in, teach me, educate me, and make me better. So with that being said, I would love to introduce the expert, Jamie Bronstein, LCSW. She's a relationship therapist, author, and speaker, and was named the #1 relationship coach, transforming lives in 2020 by Yahoo Finance. She's also the host of Love Talk Live on LA Talk Radio. She shares her relationship advice on various media outlets like KTLA, ABC, NBC News, The New York Times, and USA Today, People Magazine, and Thrive Global. Her mission is to create a positive impact while changing lives throughout the world. And that's exactly what you're doing, Jamie, because there's nothing more important, nothing more impactful than helping people find the right person for the rest of their life. Jamie, thank you so much for joining me today, spending some time with me and spending some time with the audience. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And yes, absolutely. Love is the most important thing in life. And that statement might sound a little cheesy, but it's the absolute truth. Love is why we live. And I have dedicated my career for the past 20 years to learning as much as I can, teaching, inspiring, and working with all different types of people along the spectrum of dating, from dating to couples to breakups and divorces, just to help as much as I can.
And I'm excited to talk about some of the specifics, really get into it, not only how to find that right person, but how to hold on to them, how to identify them, how to build the confidence to approach somebody. How do you approach somebody? Where do you find your specific lover? And these are all things that we're going to get into during this episode, things that I'm super interested in learning about, not only for my own sake, for my own future, but I know the audience is going to get so much out of this. So would love to kind of start, like, you're talking to somebody new, coming to you as an expert, as a consultant, as a coach, as a mentor. Where do you start with that person when it comes to relationships?
Yeah, so the cool thing about my job, and one of the reasons why I love what I do, is because I love people's stories. And everybody has a different story. Everybody's at a different age. So people come to me, and these single people that come to me, maybe they've been divorced, or maybe they're in their early 20s, or maybe they're in their 30s or 40s, and everybody has a story. So I like to start with, please tell me your story. Tell me your dating history. Tell me everything. But I also like to start with what's heaviest on your heart. Because a lot of the work that I do is, the main work, the first thing that I really do with my clients is to heal the past and to tackle these unresolved issues that have been going on that have been preventing these clients from accessing their own love, which in turn, through the law of attraction, brings in the match, the perfect match. So that's where I like to start. And I like to go over what people's negative narratives are, like what's going on in their mind that is keeping them from a relationship. And I'd say the top 3 are: I'm not worthy of love, I'm not capable of love, I can't trust. People have had trust things from the past. So, and then we do all of this work to change that story. And I'm happy to get into in terms of like tactics and stuff, but that's where we start.
I will. And this is an interesting topic, right? Because people are attacking this from so many different walks of life, so many ages, so many, gender identities. And there's so many nuances involved. But I would love to talk specifically about some of the most common ones. And I believe the first hesitation that you mentioned, the first objection was, I'm not worthy of love. So we can go through a couple of these, I think, and that would provide a lot of value, because I think these three are going to hit on most of the listeners. I'm not worthy of love is one that I've heard as well. Now, is this just a confidence thing? Love yourself before you can love somebody else? How do you go about fixing that limiting belief?
Yes, you absolutely do need to love yourself before you can love someone else fully and they can fully love you. But it's not just love, it's unconditional love. And so let me get into a little bit about what unconditional love is. Unconditional love is where you don't judge yourself. That means you have forgiven yourself and everybody in your life, and you've set yourself free from any resentment, anything that you felt like you've made a mistake about. You've always been doing the best you could, and so has everybody else. So it's doing this forgiveness work, and I call it compassionate self-forgiveness. And I'll just take you through it. So basically with this, I'm not worthy of love, let's say, I'm not capable of love, either one. You would, the client would close their eyes, put their hand on their heart, and they say, I forgive myself for buying into the misbelief that I'm unworthy of love. And then I would prompt them, what is the truth? The truth is I am worthy of love. And of course, the first time they say this, although there have been times where poof, like that's just it. Like they're like, oh, wow, of course I am. Of course I'm worthy of love. But most people, it takes practice. And my clients tell me they'll be at line in Starbucks and they'll feel triggered by something or some kind of memory, and they'll just do this in their mind. So it's a really helpful tactic to change the negative narrative, because these negative narratives, these negative stories, they come from past experiences, whether it was in 7th grade, a parent, it was a past relationship, but where it resides is in your ego. And all the ego does is it spews out lies and fear-based thoughts. So it's just anything that comes from here is not true. So I also help my clients to drop from here down to their heart, because in our heart, our authentic self, our soul, is where the truth resides.
I love that. And I know this is a proven technique because we use this in business as well. It reminds me of a book, Think and Grow Rich, where essentially you have this goal and you manifest it into existence just by talking. And I believe they use the same terminology too, your ego, talking to your subconscious and really convincing yourself of this until you become it. So that makes a lot of sense. And that's, and important for people to keep in mind. Now let's move on to number 2, because this is kind of where I fit in.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, please.
Thoughts become things.
Yes.
Very, very simple. Thoughts become things. So what you think, and that's what you're saying.
Yes.
What you think becomes, it's visualizing.
Yeah. And it takes practice, right? You have to really ingrain it in there. This is something that I used to, write into a journal. I have $1 million in my bank account before it was true. And you write it over and over again until poof, now it's in existence. It's real. So like you said, you can apply this to a lot of different problems and situations. And this is a great use case of that hack.
Absolutely.
Number 2, where I kind of fall in, and at least I feel like I fall in, which is I'm not capable of love. This is an odd one, I think, and I don't know what the solution is. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. How do you address that limiting belief?
So, well, the first thing, what we were talking about before, is that it's just not true. And if you were my client, I would say, okay, well, let's go back. Think about the person in your life that you feel unconditionally loved from.
My dog.
And okay, so just for fun, who's like in your life, who do you feel unconditionally loves you?
My parents, my mom.
Okay.
Does that not count? Today's a friend.
No, that's beautiful. And how great, how wonderful. And I'm sure you are grateful. There are so many people that have never felt unconditional love from their parents. So, okay. So, and would your parents say that they feel that you love them? Do they feel loved from you?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm probably
We'll get them
not
on the phone.
as good at expressing it as they are, but I hope so. And I do love them.
That's very sweet. So their love language is more words of affirmation, like they are more comfortable sharing how they feel than you are.
Yeah, my father's probably not a big telling me he loves me all the time, but yeah, my mother does. That's definitely not something that I've ever done for my parents or significant others. Tell them that I love them all the time, which is something that I have wanted to work on as a human. And I don't know where that part is missing, but it's definitely it's there.
I think it's part of intuitively. I'm just getting this feeling that it's part of the I'm not capable of love, and then this whole fear of or having an attachment to the outcome, and then this fear of any type of rejection or abandonment or anything. Not doesn't need to be that extreme, but even in like the littlest bit. So that's what I would do if you're my client. I would take you back and I would have you focus on how that feels to know that you are unconditionally loved and to know that you have experience in your life with love. You know that you are capable of love. So the only thing in your way is you. It's your ego. So that's why you need to do the same thing. I forgive myself for buying into this misbelief that I'm incapable of love. What is the truth? The truth is I am more than capable of love. The thing is, everybody comes to this earth capable of love, and everybody comes to this earth deserving of love. And there is a lid for every pot. There is Bashert, as I'm sure you've heard of, destiny. There's that person for everybody. So I would say to just remind yourself that you're in your own way.
Right. It's part of the human condition. It's part of evolution. We were designed to love and to love one another. I think it benefits us in so many ways that go beyond what society is right now. I think it's one of our fundamental needs. So as a realist, I believe that. I believe it's in here. I'm just hoping that I find it one day. And I think hopefully a lot of people feel the same.
Well, along those lines,
yeah.
The work that I do with my clients is that I teach them that you need to actually, instead of just hoping, you need to believe it's going to happen in order for it to happen. And you need to visualize and see it, which these things from your other books. So there's hoping to me sounds like you think the person's going to show up at your doorstep, but believing means, and having the intention and the willingness means that you're going to actually do the work and the visualizing and the surrendering, everything that comes with manifesting love.
And going out to find help when you need it, which I think is really important for people. Beautiful. What is I know you mentioned a third limiting belief that holds people back from finding love. And once we kind of attack this, we'll go into some fun stuff, how to actually find somebody, zodiacs, dating apps, and then end with some how to stay happy in a relationship. But what is the third limiting belief that people encounter?
Well, the one that I said was that I can't trust. And that's a huge one.
Yeah.
It's so big because I was doing I had a client yesterday and we were talking about this issue. And it's really interesting because it's a couple. Although I do individual sessions sometimes with people within the couple. And this was a session with the man of the couple. This Thursday, I have a session with the woman, not saying any names. So they do sessions individually and then they do it together as well. But what is so interesting about this couple is that they both don't trust each other. And that's not as common. A lot of times it's one person and then it just destroys the relationship because the other person gets annoyed. But I've been working with them for months now, but what I really discovered in a very intense, strong way yesterday was the truth is that they both, in their own ways, don't trust. And these people have been married for 6 years, together for 12. So this isn't just a relationship where one's philandering and they travel a lot and, they have a bunch of kids. So and I said to him, I said, it's kind of like when you're first out of college and you want to get a job, and they say to you, you need experience. And you say, well, how do I get experience before I have experience? How do I get experience? Or with any type of job. So I said, it's like, how do you trust if you don't trust? Or how do you trust if you don't know how to trust? If you have all these experiences that time and time and time again validate that you can't trust. And the first thing that you need to do is you need to know that the universe gives you what you focus on. So if you are focused on, I can't trust, this person is untrustworthy, I don't know how to trust, the universe hears that and will deliver that to you because that's what you're focused on, versus I can trust. I can trust myself, and I can also trust others. And then the universe, if that's what you're focused on, will bring you situations in life where that will validate that. But how do you get back to trusting or begin to trust if you just don't trust, in addition to that? And this has to do with communication and compassion for one another and being really vulnerable and honest. Because when both parties, or just even if you're just a single person, when you feel seen and heard, so like, let's say you're single and you're dating, really allow yourself to be vulnerable. And not on the first date, don't share your whole life story. Please don't do that. You really want to wait till somebody really loves you before you get into the deep stuff. But what's going on with this couple is that they're not there yet, but they're almost there, where they really understand, they're really listening to each other as to like where this is coming from. And they both have good reasons. A lot of it is fear-based, but it's still valid reasons. So you just got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. And you can do that compassion, self-forgiveness. I forgive myself for buying into this belief that I can't trust. What is the truth I can trust? But it really, once again, goes back to yourself. You need to learn how to trust yourself. This is your connection with yourself. This is your intuition. Trusting yourself. Because a lot of people are basing their lack of trust on fear versus really checking in. Can I trust this person? Is this person a good person? And they really are.
And also probably building your self-confidence, your own self-worth, so you don't feel like somebody who's going to get cheated on. But I feel like this is, so common, especially as we get older. Any new relationship, there's baggage. Someone's been hurt by an ex, and then they bring that hurt, they bring that distrust to the next relationship. So I love what you said about transparency and honesty, really opening up, letting your partner know that happened, and getting that reassurance from the partner is probably going to help.
Yes. However, okay, I'll just try to articulate this and be really concise because there's so much more to talk about.
And you can push back if you don't agree with something, please.
Well, for instance, you don't want to, like I had a client years ago and she put in her dating profile, I need a man who I can trust. And she said it like 12 times. And so what I said to her was, I was like, this screams that you've been cheated on.
Yeah.
And that's not attractive so I'm not saying that you need to have like all these conversations about how you've been cheated on. I actually don't think that it's necessary to share that aspect. So when I say be vulnerable, I just mean share that you are working on trusting yourself more, and that for some reason, you just need a little push once in a while or just some extra love, and you are going to deliver that extra love also. Because if it gets a little dicey because you put something in the subconscious of the other person, if they know that you've been cheated on, especially multiple times, it gives them like this subconscious excuse to cheat on you. So that's just my little nugget of advice.
No, that's very interesting. And we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that when we go into some like dating app profiles and first date etiquette. all the exciting stuff. So let's dig into that a little bit. For single people entering the dating scene, or maybe they're already in the dating scene, do you ever talk to your clients or work with them on what their goals are for their significant other, like what their values are? Is it attractiveness, humor, money, security? How do you go about doing that and then taking that information and using it in the real world?
Yes. This is such an important topic to talk about, because a lot of times people, before they start doing this work, are just walking around like a chicken with its head cut off.
Yeah.
I hate that image. But anyhow, just no direction. I'm just going to date, see how it goes. But they don't have clarity. They haven't really checked in with themselves about what is really important. And so I like to have my clients make 3 non-negotiables, but sometimes I extend it to 3 to 5, which is okay. And these are things this person must have. This is a not like they have to have this quality. They have to have this culture, whatever it is, because what happens is people miss these red flags. And a red flag for someone might be not a red flag for somebody else. But these are things that are very important, because you're thinking about the rest of your life. Ideally, most people, when they get married, they expect to be married forever. They're not planning on most people don't plan on getting divorced. So when you're dating, it's really important to think about what are these non-negotiables. And a lot of the non-negotiables are religion. Now, nowadays, political views. Although I say never talk about politics in a relationship.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe now it's worth it, right? First date, ask some political questions, screen them out.
Well, now also if you meet through an app, it usually says it on the app. So then it's like you already know. They
do that now. Yeah.
Yeah, and some people don't express the truth or whatever. A lot of people put in there that they want somebody who is stable, and that could mean financially stable. That could mean emotionally stable, because that's really important also. Somebody who has just I don't even like saying the word happy, but a positive disposition.
Yeah.
Somebody because we like to say what they do have. So you wouldn't say, I don't want someone who has an anger issue. You would say, I'd like somebody who is who's kind, who treats people well. I would like somebody who prioritizes me as I will prioritize them.
Yeah.
And I do have an activity, a tool called an ideal scene, which really helps people get very clear. And it's take a piece of paper and you put a heart in the middle that says I am, and you make sentences all around. This is a visualizing activity as if it's already happening, so that you get clear, the universe sees it on paper, because magic happens when you put pen to the paper, and you say exactly what you're looking for. I am enjoying my life with this man who sees me and loves me for everything that I am. That's a sentence, as if it's already happening. And then you make these spokes all around of sentences all around the heart. And then you look, I always joke with my clients that, don't even look at it a few times, look at it here and there, but on your 1-year anniversary, show it to your significant other. Because so many times it really manifests almost all of the things that people write down.
Now, for your clients, and maybe they're writing all this stuff down, they need someone who's a supermodel and really smart and successful, and same goes for men or women. At what point do you think people need to start to settle and lower expectations versus really shooting for the moon? Because this is something I think a lot of people struggle with, right? They're in a relationship, their significant other definitely doesn't check all their boxes. I know friends personally who are staying in these relationships out of comfort. But
right.
At what point do you start to settle? Or who's going to tell you that your expectations are unrealistic? Or this isn't somebody who's at your level? maybe you should drop those expectations.
Okay, so never settle.
Never settle.
That word, yeah, never settle. You know in your heart. Okay, let me rewind. The reason why I have people hone in on these non-negotiables, these 3 to 5, instead of a list of 50, is because those are the things that matter the most. So being like to flip not settling, I would say how to be more open. You know, like if the person if you don't love how they dress, that can be changed. You know, but someone's cultural morals and values, their core, their authentic self, that can't be changed. So I don't believe in settling. You know in your heart what is going to make your heart feel at peace and what is going to make you feel alive. And until you feel that, it's not the right person, period.
And I feel like if you actively practice this art of love, then you'll never have to settle. So I guess this really doesn't apply to the ones that I'm talking about. So that is helpful and it is enlightening. So thank you. Now,
and also I just want to add that it's really important that you cultivate a stronger intuition. And that's the work that I do with my clients as well, because then you don't have to, then you just know it's either a yes or a no. You become more discerning.
How do you cultivate that? Through dating?
Your intuition?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain in a brief amount of time, but, and I'm sure my links and stuff will be there, but I'd be happy to work with you. My website is therelationshipexpert.com.
And if you
it has to do with just connecting.
Yeah, if there's a tool on the website, we'll direct them over there to help with the intuition if that's a thing.
Or just schedule some sessions. It has to do with connecting with yourself. You know, like closing your eyes, looking inside, and feeling really strongly about trusting yourself. This goes back to what we've been talking about. It's how do you trust yourself? Because it's one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself, to connect with yourself.
Awesome. All right, so now we've got the perfect person. We've got the chart written down with the heart and the sentences, and we know exactly who we want. It is a crazy world. Dating, you've got the paradox of choice. There's unlimited options. You're in LA. I lived in New York City. I experienced that dating scene. And sometimes it can be crazy and it can be overwhelming. So what are your go-to pointers for finding that perfect person? And I guess top of the funnel, right? Like where are you meeting them? Is it online? Is it in person? Are there places where you can go or work with a dating coach or a matchmaker? Where have you seen the most success in your career?
Okay, well, I want to just add in that it's not about finding the perfect person. It's two imperfect people that are perfect for each other. So we're not looking for the perfect person at all.
I like that reframe.
Thank you. And it's the imperfections that make us unique. And that, like the movie Good Will Hunting.
Great movie.
Robin Williams talks about his wife and the idiosyncrasies. You know, it's those things I think about my parents. They've been married for 50 years. I've been married to my husband for almost 8, so not quite 50. But it's the little nuances that make people unique. So it's not about finding the perfect person. So, I mean, apps are working. Apps are definitely working. Now that COVID is coming towards we don't know where it's coming towards, but things are opening up more. There are more social events. I say yes to as many social events as possible. Don't make yourself crazy. If you really don't want to go to one, just know you're going to find your person regardless. So you don't have to go to everything. Networking after work, networking events. Find something that you love to do. I know pickleball has become, even for girls or non-sporty people, which is me. It's just this fun thing to do, and I might start playing. Because you want to think of like a co-ed sporty thing that, you know, like if you go, like if a girl who wants to manifest a man goes and just takes dancing, not a lot of not a lot of heterosexual men are going to be there if that's what you want. So join clubs, you know, things like that. However, dating apps is really where it's at. And go to the bars when they're open again. Say yes to going to the party. And also keep in mind this. If you go to a party and you feel like it's a bust and you look around the room and there's nobody there that you really want to talk to people anyway, because you never know who has a cousin or a family, some other like immediate brother, sister, a best friend, somebody that they want to fix you up with. So don't shy away from just talking to people, because there are so many stories where it's like, oh, I was at this event and then they fixed me up with their whoever.
That's great advice. When we, talk about dating in 2022, we automatically think about the apps. And that's something that, everybody who's single is using. They're on one or another. And I don't know what your experience is with them because you've been married for 8 years. But attracting the right person on the app, coming across as the person that would be a good match for your ideal person, it's really about what you write, how you present yourself, what your pictures look like. Are there any tips you can give men or women for optimizing their dating app to find that person?
Yes. I mean, even though, by the way, I met my husband on Match.com before it was an app, because it was in 2011. So there were no apps, but there were websites. And I like that I met him that way, because then I can inspire my clients. Well, if I met my husband on here. So even though I haven't been on the apps for me, I help my clients. I have some clients that I help them like literally on their apps. And so I'm very aware of how it works. I help them put together their whole bio and everything. One really important, it's kind of random, but I know that other coaches have agreed with me, or just in conversation, other people have agreed. This is a very important thing. If you're going to put a picture of you and a friend of yours, make sure that you're cuter, okay? Make sure that you're, like, let's just be honest, okay? Apps it's a first impression. Yeah. And it's, until you actually meet that person, this is a physical thing. So you want to give yourself the best possible chance. If you, let's say you're a guy and there's a thing about height, okay? Don't stand next to a guy who's like way taller than you, because then the girl's gonna be like, oh, I want his friend, Or if you're a girl and you're this adorable girl, but you happen to have gone out that night with your friend who is a model, okay? Who's already married and not even available. So that's a little, it makes me uncomfortable to say that, because I'm all about the inside. That is the work that I do. But there is the reality also about first impressions and physical aspects. So don't do that. Make sure that it's positive, the things that you write. Don't write what you're not looking for. Just write what you are looking for. And a lot of my clients have asked, should I put that I'm looking for a relationship? And I say yes. Should I check that one off? Because if you don't, and you are looking for a relationship, you're going to get, this happens more with girls than guys, you're going to get so many messages where the guy's just going to think that you want to hook up. And then it's a waste of time on both people's parts. So if you want a relationship, check off you're looking for a relationship. That's the truth.
Good advice, especially with taking pictures with a friend. I've definitely seen that several times.
Yeah. Also, put pictures with your family. It's so endearing.
Interesting.
And if you are going to put pictures with friends, let's say there's a group of you, make sure it's very, very clear who you are. Because I do remember on the websites, and I've looked at some of my friends, my clients, they'll show me different profiles, and we're like, which one is he? So make sure it's clear which one you are in the picture.
Any dating apps specifically that you've seen the most success on with your clients?
They should be paying me right now because I'm about to advertise for them. Hinge seems to work the best around the country.
Yeah,
and
that
around the world. I've had some clients. I mean, I had a client in Australia. Was she using Hinge? I think she was using Hinge. Seems to be the most successful across the board. You know, then there's the Rayas and the League, and there's the new Lax Club. Like there are different ones that are smaller. But Hinge, I don't know. Hinge just seems to have the most quality. People have some problems with Bumble. I think they feel like um, it's like they're not getting good enough matches or something. And actually, I have a little hack. A lot of my clients have turned off their dating app. Do you know that? Do you know about this?
no,
And
give me the
then
hack.
once you turn it back on, you kind of get like fresh meat. Like
Interesting. They push you to the
you
top of the list so more people see you.
something. Also, pay for the apps. It's not a lot of money because you also get more choices. And you know, like if you want to do that whole like spotlight thing, definitely pay for the spotlight once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's an
Whatever it's
investment
called.
in your partner. It's one of the biggest investments and the best investments that you can make. And they're not that expensive. I
Yes.
think
And you know what? So my dad, it's so sweet. Once in a while, my dad will send me articles about relationships,
yeah.
just because I don't know, because he knows it's my world, and so it was really sweet. Yesterday, he sent me an article about it was all about scamming, like catfishing and just scamming, but this was like intense, like how people are just how they like these sociopaths then ask people for money and blah blah blah. And the one example they gave was now I feel like I'm not bashing this venue, okay?
Yeah.
But when I saw it, I'm not even gonna say the name, okay? It's one of those ones on the computer. At least it was on the computer before. I don't know if it's an app now. I think it's still just on the computer. I don't know. Totally free. You can't even pay for it if you wanted to. And my first thought when I read the article was, well, this is what you get when I mean these people don't have money, so and they're not investing in their lives. They need money, and so they come in here to scam. So don't do the free ones, and on the ones where you can pay, just do the investment. It's also telling the universe that you're investing in yourself and you're prioritizing this.
Yeah, and that's human nature. You put time and energy into what you invest money into. Same thing with physical fitness and health. Right? If you pay for the trainer, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to go to the trainer. That's good advice for people.
Yeah.
Pay for it. It's a couple $100 a year to find the love of your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 14 something per month. It's, yeah. And along those lines, for anybody who is feeling like, oh, I don't want to meet my person on an app, you know, I'd rather meet them organically, which I hear all the time. I don't blame you for saying that you're human. Of course, we all want a great story. However, at the end of the day, when you're at your wedding and you're giving your wedding speech, you are not going to care how you met this person. You're just going to be so effing grateful that you did meet this person.
Do you think dating's harder now than it was back when our parents were doing it because of all the apps and the big cities and the swiping on unlimited people? And it's the paradox of choice, right? The next best person could be right around the corner. It could be one swipe away. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, especially in places like LA and New York City, where there's so many successful, beautiful people everywhere. So how do you deal with that as somebody who's dating?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of great things that did come out of COVID. Bless everybody's souls who passed away from COVID and sending light and love and healing prayers to their families. One positive thing that came out of COVID, and there were many, which is that people were forced to start forming deeper connections before
Yeah.
actually meeting. So, and that's helpful because then on your first or second date, you don't see one little thing and then never go out with them again because you already maybe have formed feelings or you already like them. So I do think that it's different. I do think times were simpler a long time ago for so many reasons. But there's also pros and cons of everything. Like in a lot of ways, we're lucky.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're really lucky that we have the apps, especially for divorced people and widows and older people. because they're not going to the bars. Like apps, they get bashed, like all the negativity and the disposability of people. There really are positive things. But to address the disposability, oh, bad date, I'm going to just get on the app again, or I'm not going to give this person enough chances, maybe more chances than I would have if there are no apps and it wasn't as easy. This is just something that you need to have a talk with yourself about. Like it is a numbers game, but it's also are you looking for your person, or are you just looking for the perfection? So make your list of non-negotiables, and I think that will change, because when you start to you'll ask different questions. It's going to be less about the outside and so much more about the inside, even though the outside is mega important.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think we are lucky to have the apps. I think it increases our chances of finding the perfect imperfect person, because you get to meet so many people that you never would have been exposed to, and it's a beautiful thing if used correctly, I'm sure. All right, so we talked about how to find people. I would love to pick your mind, and it could be super quick, about something that's really taken root in the dating scene over the past few years. Every date that I'm on, every person that I talk to in a romantic situation asks this one question. What's your zodiac sign? Are we compatible? Do you believe in any of that? Does it have any grounds, and how does it affect dating now?
I'm very, very into it. But I will say that my parents, who I mentioned, who have been married for 50 years, I should send all these podcasts and summits in my own show. I should send all episodes to my parents. It would be very overwhelming for them, because I do a lot of these. But the amount of times that I refer to them and talk about them is a lot. But maybe their ears are ringing.
Cut out little sound bites for them.
Yes, well, that would take a lot of time. Which I don't have extra time. But no, but I do send them. Or like if I write articles, I write some articles that I dedicate to them and stuff. So I'm a Pisces. My mom's a Pisces as well. Just to let you guys know. March 8th, March 14th. My dad is a Virgo Libra. He's September 22nd. Technically, because I looked this up a long time ago when I got my first astrology book in 7th or 8th grade or high school, because I have been into this stuff. And because I've always been quite crazy, and every guy that I had a crush on, immediately I would reference my book and I'd check out the signs. And so what I did learn about my parents' signs is that technically they're not like the best match. So that was actually helpful, because they're the most in love people that I know and the happiest couple that I know. So if you happen to look it up online or in a book and it says that maybe you're not the best match, just think about Keith and Jamie Bronstein and know that it doesn't apply to everybody. However, a lot of it makes a lot of sense. So my husband happens to be an Aries. However, when I was dating, I dated a lot of Cancer men. And that makes sense because I'm a water sign. They're a water sign. I think the qualities that I liked about them is that they're really sweet and intelligent and modest. My husband is also sweet, intelligent, and modest. But there was something about the Cancer men that this Pisces girl was very attracted to. So I'm a big fan of it. Now, here's the thing. I would recommend going to an astrologer to get a reading. Go in with your birth date and the time of your birth, because then there's the rising and the falling and the moon and the sun that plays a part. It's not just Pisces and another sign. So
what do you do with this information once you have it? Say you got the reading, you determine whether you're compatible or not. Say they say you're not compatible. I mean, obviously this is an opinion question, but do you use that information and do you end the relationship?
Well, let's just go back to K and A Bronstein. Maybe someone would have said they aren't. So my answer is use your intuition.
Yeah.
Just go inside. And if you feel, and at this point, I would love to just say a few things of how you know it's your person.
Please.
Because at the end of the day, this is all that matters. You feel peace in your heart. You can't imagine being with anybody else. You're intrigued by them. You feel not at home with them, but you feel like they are home. You have fun with them. And it's just this feeling of this outer worldly connection. Like a lot of people describe it as, where did you come from? Or and one cute thing is when you feel like when people look at you, they say, "Oh, of course." I'm going to use Jack and Esther. I don't know, my grandpa's not alive anymore, but I just feel like saying, "Of course, Jack and Esther make sense." You know, when you look at your relationship, not that it matters, but it's, or just say the universe. Okay, of course, Jay and Joanna make sense. What if your wife's name is Joanna?
Did you? Oh my God.
Why? Do you know a Joanna?
I sure do. You're a psychic. That's crazy. I thought you must have found that information somewhere. We're not going to go into that.
Who's Joanna?
I'll tell you after the show. Wow, we're going to get a great soundbite out of that. That's awesome. Yeah, no, Joanna's.
Okay, go ahead.
No, we're not done. Joanna's somebody that I dated recently. We're very involved with. It's like very, very recently. And that is
a very random name.
Yeah.
Psychic, I just have to say.
Unbelievable. If you told me you were psychic now, I'd believe you.
Well, no, I actually am, but that's a whole other show. I do intuitive readings and I connect with people that
name came from somewhere from you. So I believe it. That's so funny. Anyways, where were we? My mind is a little blown.
Is Joanna watch this?
Oh, for sure. She'll definitely listen to this. I'll let you know what she says. So funny.
Okay, Joanna, you guys might want to rethink this relationship, but that's all I'm going to say.
Oh man, I think we were talking about zodiacs anyways. So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some talent. Everybody, if you're listening and you need a psychic, I found one for you. I've gone to several different psychics and was very unimpressed. This is the first time I'm impressed.
I do have a really quick story. My friend Maggie, we were talking a year and a half, 2 years ago. And in the middle of this conversation, I just said, I just got this name. I don't even know why I got this name, but it's not even like a man's name. Skylar. And a few months, I don't know, she sends me a text message. I forgot about it, okay? She goes, I met a Skylar on an app. And I'm like, cool. And she's like, you told me I was going to meet a Skylar. Because I'd forgotten. Skylar is now her boyfriend, and they've been together ever since then, pretty much.
Wow.
A man named Skylar.
Yeah, which I've never met. It's usually a female name. You've got some skills. You've got some psychic skills.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's awesome. All right. So you found your person. You're in a relationship. What are some of the tricks? You've been married 8 years. You know, your parents have been married many more than that. It's one thing to find somebody, to court them, to become boyfriend and girlfriend, to go through those stages. It's a whole other thing to stay happy, become a team, really treat that person as your partner, and keep having fun with that person. Keep your sex life energized and fun and happy. What are the secrets to that? How do you hold on to somebody, and how do you stay happy with that person for the rest of your life?
My first answer is don't settle and wait until you find your person, because just that right there helps you get through the difficult times of life, helps you get through conflict. You know, I talk about having compassionate conflict where you really listen to each other and nothing ever needs to get heightened. You prioritize each other. You said it, and it's so true. You need to have fun together. You need to have new experiences together. Keep it new, keep it fun. I don't care how long you've been married, if you have kids, whatever, make date nights. Cultivate that time for yourself. So many couples, let's say, married kids, so many couples concentrate so much on their kids that they do lose each other. And then, once again, bringing my mom up, when I was little, I don't know why she's telling me this when I was like 7, but anyhow, maybe I wasn't 7, but she would say, when you're married, you need to go on these date nights with your man because you don't want to get to the point where your kids go to college and you look at each other and you say, who are you?
Yeah.
So you do need to have fun, new experiences, spontaneous creativity, be creative. Definitely keep up the sex life as much as possible because that's very bonding on so many levels. And you want to grow together. One of the biggest issues in relationships is that either both parties are growing, but just individually, or one person is growing, and then that's just unattractive to the other person, or that growing person starts being unattracted to the other person who's not growing. So the ideal is that you grow together. You're growing and thriving versus just surviving and getting through every day.
Yeah, that's good advice. And I feel like that's a big thing that I see nowadays is the one person grows as the other person doesn't or grows in a different direction. And then before you know it, you're two completely different people and the relationship doesn't make sense anymore. So growing together sounds like a challenge, but one that people should take really seriously.
And also one very important thing is don't judge each other. And any type of judgment, when there is judgment, that means that you want the person to change. And it's just never good. Having resentment and contempt in a relationship is always detrimental. So if you are feeling any of these feelings, you have to communicate and use that beautiful voice of yours and validate each other and listen instead of saying you shouldn't feel that way. Say this is how I'm feeling, and then just validate it, and then go have sex.
Speaking of sex, would love to spend a couple minutes on some of the new age, I guess, type relationships that I see popping up. Open relationships, thruples. And then people who just want to spend the rest of their life together, love each other, but don't want the government involved. They don't want to do the marriage contract. Do any of these things hold any ground? Have you seen this as a success in any of these cases? Or what are your general thoughts toward these types of relationships?
Well, let's just address a throuple.
Sure.
To me, marriage is sacred between two people.
Okay.
And so and this is not advice for anybody else. I'm just honoring my truth and how I feel. I don't see how it could, we talked about feeling peace in your heart. We talked about that feeling of home. It's also that team, like the teammate, that feeling, supported. And I don't see how you could feel at peace with a third party. So that we'll just address that. But that is only my opinion. And at the end of the day, whatever makes anybody happy is what they should do. And if it works for people, amazing.
Yeah. Amazing.
Like mazel tov to whatever type of relationship you want to have. If you are happy, because not that easy to find, if you are happy, that's all that matters. So people who don't want to get married, but who want to be together forever. Well, I was going to say Goldie and Kurt Russell, but I think that they just got married. Did they get married?
I don't know. I don't follow most of those.
They were having a double wedding.
Yeah. And you can still have, the wedding, the celebration, but just the contract of marriage. Because especially as a male entrepreneur, we talk. There's scary stuff. I know a lot of doctors who have been married 3 times and divorced, and just a lot of people who have gone through a lot, and women who have gone through a lot too. And it's the contract. I mean,
like with
divorce, division of assets, all of the complications that come with, God forbid, divorce.
Yeah.
Do you think it makes sense to enter into a relationship without the contract?
It's a case-to-case basis. Like some people have legit reasons. Like let's say if one person does have a lot more money than the other, and it just makes it easier. A lot of second or third marriages don't necessarily, or third, if you've had a few divorces, a lot of people don't end up getting married again. But I do have to say that I know a lady, I think she was married a long time ago. And she recently got married a few years ago. I think she was in her 60s. And she said that her now husband was about to be going to some country. They're in the entertainment industry. He was going, I think he's in the music business. He was going to be going somewhere for a while. And she said, God forbid, an example like this, if something were to happen to him,
Yeah.
who am I? Like if they're not married. So there are benefits to being married, like
Of course.
that you are the person that, I mean, that's a horrible thing. Like if he would have died or not even died, but like, let's say he's in the hospital. Who's the person, who's your wife? Who's your husband? So, however, once again, whatever makes everybody happy is all that matters. And I validate anybody's reasons. Like I will never judge. So, okay, so you guys aren't going to get married, but you're happy? That's wonderful.
I'm with you. If something feels like it's working and you want to give it a shot, there's no harm in trying. You're not hurting anybody. As long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah. It's literally, but ideally you want both parties to be on board. Like you want, if two people are not going to get married, but you're going to spend your life together.
Yeah.
You want them both to be happy about that decision, because if one person is resentful, we talked about resentments, it's a relationship killer. So if that is a decision, you really want both parties to 100% be on board.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that creating resentment for sure. Now, for other people who might be listening, I think getting help and training in this specific subject is really important. I don't think we spend enough time on it. God knows I've very not well read in the dating subject matter. And I'm sure a lot of listeners can say the same. And I really do believe deep in my heart that investing the time and energy into learning this and doing it the right way will pay off more than almost any other investment that you can make. So I would love to ask your opinion as an expert, as a thought leader. What are some resources that people can go to hone those skills, to get better, to learn?
Well, 100%. I mean, you were saying doing the work, 100% hire a coach or a therapist that you feel aligned with. You feel like you like their style. I'm available. I work with clients, as I mentioned, on Zoom all around the world. Do that work. Do that work. In addition, of course, find books. I'm trying to think if there's anything I don't want to just recommend like just any book.
Yeah.
I would recommend, I can't say the title of it, but it's the book that I'm writing about manifesting love. So if I come on your show again, I don't know, a year or something, I can recommend my book. But there definitely are books out there. Actually, there's a book called The Soulmate Secret. I'm having Arielle Ford, she's the author. I'm having her on my show. We're actually recording tomorrow. She wrote a book years ago, and a lot about what we're talking about. And she has a great story. So Soulmate Secret can help with finding your soulmate. And then there's a book called Conscious Uncoupling. I'm also having that author on my show, Catherine Woodward Thomas. That's a book for how to not manifest love, but she also has a book called Calling in the One, which is good as well. So there's some books, and but there's something about, like you said, like this doing the work with a therapist or a coach is the greatest investment you can make in your life, because it's not only helping you manifest love, it's changing your own life. It's helping every aspect of your life and all of your relationships. So I obviously am a big fan of it. It's my career. So just if you've never done it, challenge yourself. Life is about risks. And I would say make one or two appointments. Make an appointment with one or two, or do like a little, like I offer a 10 or 15-minute complimentary phone discussion, because you do want to find somebody that you have a good rapport with, and just do it. You have nothing to lose.
I'm with you. We have a saying in entrepreneurship: you are the sum of the people that you spend the most time with. And I mean, your significant other is number one in that category by far. So having the right person, finding the right person, is arguably the most important thing that you can do. You become that person, they become part of you. And if a relationship expert, a dating coach, consultant, and a little bit of education in this space will help find the perfect person for you, perfect imperfect person, then this is absolutely something that we should invest in. And for those listeners who want to do that, therelationshipexpert.com. And thank you for doing the free 15-minute consult with our listeners. And I genuinely hope that they take advantage of that they go on there and they schedule that 15-minute consult. This, again, if you're listening.
I was going to say the best way, because you can't schedule right from there, but if you want to email me and I can send you my Calendly, it's Jamie, Jaime, the relationship expert @gmail. And also, did I send you my free gift? Because this is just another tactic. So I'm going to send you a link, which you can put on after, right? When you post this. So I have a free gift, and it's 7 days to manifesting love. And you get an email for 7 days that has an affirmation and an exercise every day. So sign up for that free gift. And so you were asking about tactics and stuff. So there's a lot of great nuggets in those 7 days. So I'll send you the.
Thank you for that gift. I hope everyone takes advantage of that. And if you're listening from a point of entrepreneurship, success, business, I'm convinced, I'm certain that this decision, this investment is going to do wonders for you in every aspect of your life, including entrepreneurship and business. So take advantage of that free gift. Book that call. Please, Jamie, send me the Calendly link, or I can also include the email. And take this seriously, guys. You can find the right person. That person's going to be one of the main people in your life that's going to help you either grow or not grow. So take the time, invest in this, and let's find love. Thank you, Jamie, for coming on the show.
Let's find love. Thank you so much for having me. This was such a wonderful interview.
Thank you so much. All right.